So here's 2.5, and this one is going to use polygons and circles. And remember that in SketchUp, circles are really polygons, usually with 24 sides as the default. You can use the polygon tool or you can use the circle tool, but the polygon tool is a little more convenient because you usually want to keep circles so that they have little tiny segments so that they look round. So let's jump into SketchUp here. And I've gone ahead and created a new assignment, and what I want to introduce at this point is that when you create a new assignment, you're offered a imperial template that is feet and inches, or metric template, which might be in millimeters or meters or centimeters. So how do you know what you have? Well, right down here we have the model info button, and when we click on that, we can see what we have. So if we started one in imperial units or feet and inches, well, it'll probably be written as 1/2 inch. If we want to work in metric, we can just click here and then we're good. So when working in inches, we can go ahead and set the precisions for every 1 inch all the way down to 1/64 of an inch. And again, you can go ahead, instead of using fractions, you can use decimal equivalents like 1.25 for 1 1/4 or 1.5 for 1 1/2, etc. If you want to work in metric, you can do this. And you can change these at any time, because whenever you're 3D modeling, you always draw everything true shape, true size. You never have to scale it down. You know, if you want to draw a house on a piece of paper, you're going to have to scale the house down, right? But in computer 3D modeling, you always draw true shape, true size with the real units that are going to exist once this object has been produced. This is in millimeters, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I have it set for millimeters. Precision can be 0 or 1.0 if you want. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so here I am in SketchUp. I have my drawing placed in, and just to make sure that I am using millimeters, I'm going to come into the model info, and sure enough, I'm using millimeters with a precision of 0, which will be just fine because these are all whole numbers, 50, 27, 140, etc. I'm going to go ahead and close that, and the first thing I'm going to do is draw this octagon, stop sign shape. So I'll come up here and click on the polygon tool, and notice down the measurement dialog box right now it says 8, and that's because I've already worked on this assignment and I made a mistake and it's remembering 8, but yours is going to say 6. And that is the default. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click and type in an 8, hit enter, and then I'm going to come over here and just click somewhere, and I'm going to start to pull out. Now, see that circle that's going around the polygon? That's called circumscribed, and what that means is that this polygon, each vertex touches a part of the circle that has a particular radius, and that's not what I want, because over here you'll see that I need to go from the top edge to the bottom edge. That's what my measurement is, 140. I don't want to go from the radius down to a vertex. So how do I change that? Well, I look right down here, and SketchUp's trying to read my mind, and what it's saying is, okay, if you want it to be inscribed, just tap the option key, and when I tap it, now see how the circle's on the inside? And so I can just go ahead and click. That makes sure that it's just straight up and down along the green axis, and down in the measurement dialog box here it says 70 millimeters. Well, this needs to be 140 millimeters tall, but this is a radius. That means that from the center straight down to here it is 70, and I just got lucky when I clicked, but I could have clicked anywhere, and so if I'd clicked a value different than 70, I could just go ahead and type in 70 again, hit enter, and it would be the proper size. So we now have our polygon, and let's just go ahead and put in a dimension right now. So from, say, this vertex down to this vertex is 140 millimeters. So we're pretty much solid at this point. Now, I need to find this center right here so that I can draw this pentagon or five-sided polygon. How do I find it? Well, I could take and draw a whole bunch of diagonals and where they intersect make the center. But remember, I can just click on the polygon here and find the center, and it puts in this center mark for me so I know where to begin. So come into our polygon tool here and I'll select it. If you don't have 5 sides down here, if it says 6 or whatever, just go ahead and type in 5 and I'd center it right there. And as I pull up, notice the distance that it gives me is from the center to one of the vertexes. But if I look over here, I have it from, or this 27 millimeters is from the center down perpendicular to one of the sides. So that's easy to fix. I just go ahead and tap in my option key and then mouse around until it's aligned with the green axis, and then I'll type in 27 and there we go. So let's come into our dimension tool, make sure that we didn't goof it up. So from the center down to the midpoint, which would be perpendicular, it says 27 millimeters. So I'll go ahead and just click. And you can pull it out here, although I'm going to leave it inside like this. Just looks a little bit better, I think. The next to last thing that we want to do is put in these 4 circles. They have a diameter of 12 millimeters. SketchUp, it always puts in the circles with a radius measurement, and so we're going to actually need to enter 6. So if your circles look a little bit big when you put them in, that could be a deal. But what we want to do is just go ahead and do some layout geometry. So I'm going to use my good friend Mr. Tape Measure. I'm going to drag up here to the center of that line, and then I'll just pick this edge and line it up with the center up there. So I've now got those 4, or if you will, the 3, 6, 9, and 12 o'clock positions indicated. So next thing I need to do is type in a circle that has a diameter of, has a radius of 50. And so we'll just type in 50 and hit enter. And now where these circles are, or where these intersections are, we can go ahead and just type in 6, hit enter, come up here, pull out, type in 6, hit enter, down here, same thing, and one last time, right up here, 6 and hit enter. Now, SketchUp does not have the ability to draw circular guidelines. It's a feature request that's in, but to my knowledge it hasn't been implemented yet. So that's why I drew this larger circle out here, just to help me do my layout work. And so now I'm just going to take my eraser and erase these segments here. There we go, and then tap my space bar for select and go ahead and delete these faces. So I'll go in and finish her up here by selecting the circles and finding the centers. And afterwards I'll just go ahead and add some last couple of dimensions. There we go, and so let's go to our dimension tool. There we go. So we'll just go ahead and put a dimension on this circle, maybe about there, and then we need a dimension from the center up to this center, and let's see, I think I'm going to pull it out here now. Along with this one here, I'm just going to move it out so that they line up like that. Am I missing any other dimensions? I'm not sure. If I am, you let me know. But go ahead now and hand this in just like you handed in the others, or however your teacher wants you to do it, and we'll move on to the next exercise.